Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Fluently Forward. I am so excited to be covering this episode. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but it coincides nicely with the timing of a new Netflix documentary series. Because raise your hand if you never forgot about the missing Malaysian Flight 370. I know I, for damn sure, didn't, probably because I stay on those conspiracy theory subreddits, etc. It came back into my mind when Christy from X Knows All, I did an episode over on her podcast talking about theories about this flight. Then Netflix drops this docu-series discovering what's happening. And let me know what you thought of it. I thought the first episode, awesome. The second one, okay, weird. The third one, even weirder. And it felt like, yes, were they talking about conspiracy theories for this plane? And I say that not pejoratively. I say that as a fan. You know me, right? Like, bring out all the conspiracy theories. I just thought they weren't talking about the right ones, namely Diego Garcia. So that's what we are going to be talking about for today's mini episode. If you had a Boeing to my head and you said, Shannon, what do you think happened to that plane? I think something to do with Diego Garcia. And we're going to walk through it because when I mention this to people, on the street, at happy hour, at a bar, they typically say, you sound crazy. I have no idea what those two words mean. So let's get into it, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what Netflix didn't tell you. Now, technically, they did utter the words Diego Garcia once in the series, but they didn't really talk about it, and you have to know what it is. So, Diego Garcia is the name of an island that lines up pretty damn close to where that plane would have gone. So, if you watched the documentary and you know a bit about this, there was a plane. It was supposed to be going up to China, but about an hour into the flight, it stopped, went dark, turned off all of the communication, did a 180 back around over Malaysia, and then looks like it went completely straight down south. Now, in this documentary, they say most people think it kind of crashed off the western coast of Australia. But if you go up a little bit, because nobody knows exactly where it crashed, right around here is an island called Diego Garcia, and it's a military island basically owned by the US. So technically, it's in something called the British Indian Ocean Territory. That's right, it's 2023, and the Brits just can't let it go, but whatever. This area of like water consists of a lot of different islands. Most of them aren't inhabited, a lot of them have been militarized. The specific island of Diego Garcia had a really small number of locals who were living there. It was less than 1,000. I think it was 960. And back in the day, in between like 1969 and 1972, they were forcibly removed from the island, and that is when the UK government came and formed a UK US joint military base on the island. They thought it would be great because they're like, hey, it's kind of this remote island. Here you can kind of touch Australia, Africa, Asia. Honestly, if I had to think like a sociopath, I'm like, it is a good spot for the military. And because they only had to cruelly evacuate about 1,000 locals, they were like, wow, fantastic. This is going to be a great spot for us. Now, it was jointly owned by the US UK military, but as time went on, basically 1960s, I want to say, the UK withdrew its military presence and it was all United States. So to this day, it's a UK territory, but don't get it twisted, it is the US military that's all over Diego Garcia. I am so excited to tell you this week about Sakara and their flexible signature nutrition program. I have been eating on this plan for the last week and I love everything about it. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I talk about how I was vegan for 3 years. I typically eat about 80% vegan. It just feels more aligning. It just makes me feel great when I do it. And coinciding with the fact that, as creative as I like to think of myself, I never know what to cook. I never know how to put together something. I love looking at food online, but I can never seem to make interesting meals for myself. And Sakara is fantastic for this. They give you meals that are ready to eat, they're delivered to your door, and they are so healthy. They're going to make you look and feel your best. They're plant-based and they are fun. Like I this week have eaten a pumpkin pie parfait, a vegan burger, a sweet potato bowl with this maple syrup sauce. For breakfast, I'm having chocolate love muffins that have like coconut oat crumble on them. It's absolutely fantastic. So If you want a little taste of this, Sakara brings expertly designed organic nutrition programs and wellness essentials right to your door. Their science-backed, ready-to-eat meals are going to deliver results that you can see and feel, from weight management and eased bloat to boosted energy and clearer skin. So right now, Sakara is offering Fluently Forward listeners 20% off of their first order when they go to sakara.com/fluently or enter code fluently at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/fluently to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/fluently. Now, flash forward maybe 10, 20 years to the Iran hostage crisis in 1979, 1980. The United States was like, we really want to make sure that we can still have direct access to this flow of oil. Diego Garcia is right there. What did they do? They got permission for the government to spend $400 million ramping up different things that were on this island. So if you're wondering why we don't have free healthcare in this country, it's probably because you, me, and all those people I'm talking to at the bar and on the street, none of us know that the US just spent $400 million beefing up this secret military island that like we never really talk about. But yeah, of course. So if you want to know what they spent the $400 million on, and keep in mind Malaysian Flight 370 when I list some of these things that they used to beef up the island. So Diego Garcia has two parallel 12,000-foot long runways. They have these huge parking aprons for their heavy bomber jets and other planes. They have different anchorages in their lagoon. They have a deep water pier. They have large naval vessels. They have aircraft hangars. And they have a lot of maintenance buildings and an air terminal that you could fit planes in. What type of plane? Missing ones? Who knows? Maybe so. So just take a look at all of that, right? Runways, air terminals, that's what's on the island. So you might be wondering, hey, what is the United States government using this island for? Allegedly, it's nothing good. We have a few different people, some who are on the record, some who are anonymous, talking about this. In 2015, Colin Powell's former chief of staff, Lawrence Wilkerson, basically said that Diego Garcia was used by the CIA for, quote, nefarious activities. He said that he had heard from 3 different U.S. intelligence sources that Diego Garcia was used as a, quote, transit site where people were temporarily housed, let us say, and interrogated from time to time. Isn't that so funny? Like, I get fresh squeezed orange juice from time to time. And they're like, oh no, we just like casually like interrogate people on this island from time to time. It was also in 2005 rumored to have been one of the locations of the CIA's black site. And if you don't know what CIA black sites are, it's really an episode for another time, but just think torture, think MK Ultra, think illegal things that happen that our government certainly does but doesn't want us to know about, and then maybe it gets declassified like 50 to 100 years later, and then we find out about it, but everybody's already dead. Anyway, there was also somebody from the United Nations who said that there was credible evidence supporting allegations that ships serving as black sites have used this island of Diego Garcia as a base for their black site activities. So what happens at Diego Garcia? Shady shit. What's on the island? A lot of stuff that could house a plane. What's the location of the island? Directly where this plane was flying, and nobody knows what happened to it. So what gives even more credibility to this theory, and I'm not suggesting an actual theory here, more of just something to investigate, look into, put out a 4th Netflix episode about, is that this island's landing strip, the landing strip on Diego Garcia, was programmed into the flight simulator of the pilot, the Malaysian pilot. So basically, in his flight simulator, there were about 4 to 5 different landing strips that were programmed in there because they were long enough that this massive Boeing flight could land on. So every single person who had a flight simulator like this, inside of it, there was an international airport in the Maldives, the Diego Garcia runway, and then 3 other runways in India and Sri Lanka, which had runway lengths of like over 1,000 meters, very long. So I just think when you consider all 4 of those, the location, the flight simulator, what happens on that island, and then all of the money that's been spent on that island to house and hide planes, I just think it's something to consider. Now, what we don't know is what actually happened, right? We're never going to know what actually happened. There's a few theories around it. One is, was this plane, maybe the pilot was in cahoots with somebody? Just strap on the tinfoil. We're going crazy, okay? Was the pilot in cahoots with the US? Maybe there was a VIP person on that plane and he turned course and landed in Diego Garcia, so a few people on the plane could be interrogated. Or was the plane just happened to be flying down past Diego Garcia? It flies right overhead this military island. We shoot it down accidentally, thinking that it's a threat, and then it's a massive government cover up because it's like, oh my God, we just killed all of these civilians. Let's just say that it disappeared.
Caraway cookware. I was so over the moon when we first got Caraway as a sponsor because let me tell you, I have been lusting over their kitchenware. And I know that sounds weird, but I have for a very long time. And trying it out, I've been cooking more. I've been excited to be into the kitchen. And I think it's because not only is cooking on these kitchenware items so easy, but the cleanup is such a breeze as well. And I'm sure you're just like me. There's something about working with an aesthetically pleasing product that just makes you want to use it more. It's like a little life hack for me. So not only are these Caraway products beautiful, they're also non-toxic. They're made without any toxic materials or any of those hard to pronounce chemicals. And they are also built for easy cooking. So they have a ceramic, naturally slick surface. I'm cooking eggs on there. It's easy to fry them, flip them, everything. It's fantastic. So over 30,000 people have all also raved about their Caraway kitchen. Now it is time for you to try it for yourself. You can visit carawayhome.com/fluently. Take advantage of this limited time offer for 10% off of your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners. So visit carawayhome.com/fluently, or you can use the code FLUENTLY at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern.
There's a lot of different things that could be happening. I will say, I think it's going to be a two-parter theory because the first thing that we don't know is, why did the pilot make the plane go dark and why did it do the 180-degree thing down? So even if we accidentally shot down the plane because it flew over Diego Garcia, there's still something fishy happening because why did the pilot change course, not communicate with people on the ground, and why was it even going in that direction? Now, there are some people who have dug into this theory. Mark Dugan, he's a former airline boss and a famous French author. He believes in this theory. He met with the mayor of a neighboring island who, and this also wasn't in the documentary, showed him pictures of this strange device that was found on a beach 2 weeks after the plane disappeared. All right, and this was before the Maldives military seized it. And aviation experts basically concluded that that object was a Boeing fire extinguisher. So that kind of lends some credence, to the theory of maybe there was a fire on board and that was the sketchy thing, not that there were, I don't know, like terrorists going into the hatch or whatever else they tried to say happened in the Netflix docu-series. So I don't know exactly what I believe. I just know that in my gut, in my butt, as I always say for conspiracy theories, because I'm not going to try to pretend like I know everything, Diego Garcia, I think, is something that is worth looking into. I don't know if the pilot was in on it. I don't know if it accidentally went over the island. I don't know if it landed there and it was housed in one of their hangars. There's even more extenuating theories based off of this one. But I just wanted to come in and drop a little quick note that if you watch the Netflix docu-series and you kind of want to dive more into these theories, Diego Garcia would be my number one pick for something fishy that happened. It's in the right location, and for what it's worth, it's a lot more plausible that wreckage from the flight would show up on those neighboring islands all the way then in buttfuck Madagascar. You freaking kidding me? That's the craziest thing of the series. They're like, oh, I'm pretty sure that the plane landed off of the western coast of Australia, but we found bits of it in Madagascar and Tanzania. I go to Tanzania every summer. It's not like a hop, skip, and a jump from there to Perth, Australia. It's really far. So I just find that crazy too. At any rate, let me know what you thought of the docu-series. I've been able to text my sister and Christy, aka X Knows All, about it. And those are the only people who will talk to me about it. Because like I said, everyone else thinks I'm crazy. So let me know in the comments what you think happened to the plane. and if you think Diego Garcia has anything to do with it. So I will see you on Monday for another full episode of Fluently Forward. Bye, guys.